get into the NBA Finals. It's the AFC Miami Heat taking on the number 1 seed Denver Nuggets. Game 1 is set for Thursday night at Ball Arena in Denver, 8:30 p.m. tip-off on ABC. Mike Breen will be on the call with Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. Big-time matchup. The Nuggets going into this NBA Finals, they are one of the 4 largest favorites in the NBA Finals in the last 20 years. The 2018 Warriors, the 2007 Spurs, and 2020 Lakers were also favored by a lot in the NBA Finals. Remember that Lakers team in 2020 was favored by a lot over the Miami Heat. So Heat are the underdogs in this series. Let's talk about the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are the Cinderella of the NBA playoffs this year. The Miami Heat remind me of a college basketball team like Loyola Chicago and George Mason in the early 2000s, who went on a crazy deep tournament run. That is the Miami Heat right now. And remember, the Miami Heat, they lost the play-in matchup against Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. They were trailing by a few points, I think like 3 points against the Chicago Bulls in the elimination play-in matchup, and Jimmy Butler went crazy. And in the opening round, Jimmy Butler drops 56 in game 4. Giannis did get injured in game 1. Tyler Hero also got injured. And Giannis missed game 1 and game 2 and game 3, I believe. But he came back for game 4 and game 5. And the Miami Heat, they were sensational. They were sensational. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games. They overcame double-digit deficits in both games 4 and games 5. They trailed going into the fourth quarter of both of those games, and they were able to overcome those deficits and beat the Milwaukee Bucks. And remember, the Milwaukee Bucks had the best record in the East. Had the best record in the East. And so the Miami Heat are led by Jimmy Butler. Obviously, Jimmy Butler is the best player on the Heat, one of the stars in the NBA. He averaged 29 points per game so far in the playoffs. Bam Adebayo has contributed with 17 points per game. Caleb Martin has been sensational so far in the playoffs. He averaged 14 points per game, and he was great in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I was talking with Wilton earlier, he could have easily won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Averaged 19 points per game on 60% shooting, shot 49% from three-point range. He was great in the Eastern Conference Finals. And so the Heat, they had a bunch of undrafted players who play at a high level, and they've elevated their games. I said in the Eastern Conference Finals that Gabe Vincent was Gabe Curry and Caleb Martin was Caleb Thompson, because they were hitting shot after shot after shot. And every time the Heat put up a shot, I thought it was going in. I thought it was going in. I can't say enough about the job that the Miami Heat have done getting to this point. But obviously, it would not happen without Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. He's the best coach in the NBA. Steve Kerr has Steph Curry. He has Klay Thompson, the greatest shooting tandem in NBA history. Ty Lue has Kawhi Leonard. He has Paul George. Michael Malone has Nikola Jokic. He has Jamal Murray. Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA, and he only has Jimmy Butler. Only got Jimmy Butler. And so when you look at NBA Finals appearances all time, only Pat Riley, Red Auerbach, and Phil Jackson have more Finals appearances than Eric Spoelstra has. Eric Spoelstra is going to be coaching in his 6th NBA Finals appearance. And so when LeBron was in Miami, we didn't give Spoelstra the credit as much when the Heat won those titles back-to-back years, because he had LeBron, he had D-Wade, and he had Chris Bosh. But what he's been able to do over the last 4 years, getting the Miami Heat to the NBA Finals, and 2 out of the last 4 years, nothing short of impressive as the best coach in the NBA. And it's a shame that Eric Spoelstra has not won an NBA Coach of the Year award. It is a shame. Now, when you look at the head coaches in this matchup, Spoelstra is the 2nd longest tenure active head coach with the team. Michael Malone is the fourth longest tenured active head coach for the Denver Nuggets. And Michael Malone, since he's been the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, he is 406 and 337. So he's won 55% of his games. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. I would say top 10, but he's not on the level that Eric Spoelstra is on. So, but he's not as bad as Joe Mazzulla was for the Celtics. So this is not as lopsided from a head coaching standpoint as it was in the Heat Celtics series. Michael Malone is closer to Eric Spoelstra than Joe Mazzulla is. Obviously, the Denver Nuggets are led by Nikola Jokic for the postseason. He's averaging 30 points per game. Jamal Murray, his co-stars, averaging 28 points per game. I feel like that pick and roll with Jokic and Murray is hard to stop. And that's where the Nuggets go in late game situations. They go to Jokic, they go to Murray in that pick and roll, and it's hard to stop. And Jamal Murray is showing why he's one of the best young co-stars we have in the NBA. I remember in the bubble, he was balling out against Donovan Mitchell, and he's been very impressive. But I just don't think the Heat are going to have enough and have anyone who can guard Nikola Jokic. Bam is inconsistent, and I don't know if Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, and Kyle Lowry and Max Strus are going to be able to outperform the Nuggets role players like Bruce Brown, like Aaron Gordon, like Michael Porter, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I think the Nuggets have a better supporting cast, and I think the Nuggets have better stars in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray over Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So with that being said, I'm rolling with the Denver Nuggets to beat the Miami Heat in 6, and the Denver Nuggets capture their first NBA championship in franchise history. So I got Nuggets in 6 over the Heat, and I think it's going to be competitive, and I got respect for the Miami Heat as an organization and as a basketball team, and I love what Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra has done, but I don't think it's going to be enough against this Denver Nuggets team. They are the overwhelming favorites for a reason. I got Nuggets in 6 over the Heat, and I got Nikola Jokic taking home NBA Finals MVP.